G'day. The Sennheiser MD441-U is a great microphone that I get to use regularly in my home studio. And I thought I'd tell you a little bit about why. I'm Mark Lowry. I'm a musician and audio engineer, and I run a home studio. I've posted several videos on my channel of live music performances that I've recorded in my home. And in many of them, you will see at least one MD441. This is because they not only sound great, but they help in managing other aspects of a live recording. So before I get into the MD441 in particular, I'll talk a little bit about choosing microphones for when I'm setting up for a live band session. Recording a band live in a single space in your home usually means the musicians are all positioned relatively close to it together. And unless you're lucky enough to have a good dedicated space, the room treatment's likely to be such that there's a fair bit of unwanted noise or spill floating around. Now spill, especially from louder instruments like drums, can present problems when you get to the mixing stage. As an example, there's likely to be a drummer banging away in relatively close proximity to your vocalist or an acoustic instrument, and that's potentially going to mean you have a lot of drum noise and cymbal wash in your vocal microphone. And this makes mixing that vocal track a lot harder later on, because even a little bit of drum noise on your vocal track makes using a compressor, for example, a lot more challenging, as any compression applied to the vocals will also increase the audible spill from the drums, and it's hardly ever a good sounding thing. And this is where the choice of microphones can make a huge difference to the quality of your recordings. For me, this means I'll typically avoid using some of my better microphones, the ones that will pick up everything really well. Condenser microphones are typically the most sensitive of microphone types and can therefore be troublesome in a live setting. I tend to use a combination of ribbon and dynamic microphones, as they are both a little less sensitive and more forgiving in what they pick up around them. And they both provide good off-axis cancellation opportunities that can be used here as well. So, how does a microphone help you manage spill? The main way is to take advantage of the microphone's polar pattern. All microphones have distinctive polar pattern types: cardioid, figure of eight, omnidirectional, etc. Some even allow you to switch between the various polar patterns. Now, the Sennheiser 441, a dynamic microphone, has a cardioid polar pattern. Now, cardioid microphones can come in a further variety of types: a traditional cardioid, a supercardioid, and a hypercardioid. And in simple terms, the second two are built in a way that further emphasises the cardioid focus on the front, the sound source at the front of the microphone, but they're relatively good at rejecting sound towards the rear or off to the sides of at the back of the microphone, as you can see on the diagram. So you can use this feature to your advantage by positioning the microphone in such a way as to minimise the amount of spill the microphone will pick up. You can enhance the overall input quality you are trying to capture and make the final mixing process a little bit easier. I often use ribbon microphones, which are figure eight polar patterns with a very strong null on the sides, for the same reason. The Sennheiser 441-U, with its supercardioid polar pattern, works really well in a live recording scenario. It helps me cut down the unwanted spill while still sounding great on the sound source I'm trying to capture. I simply need to position the microphone in a way that places those loud sources I'm trying to minimise in the null of the microphone. So my vocalist is at the front of the microphone, the drummer is over here, taking advantage of that null on the side. And the null is all the way around, so above and below as well. Some of the other features of the 441, it's got a five switch high pass filter on the back. It's quite aggressive. The top selection is all the way up to 500 hertz. And maybe you can use that on a hi-hat or something. I go for the second one typically for a vocalist in a live recording, where it's got a relatively shallow high pass up to about 250 hertz. There's also a treble boost switch that can give you an up to 6 dB boost over 2K, up to 20 in an arc. Now that might be pretty good on a vocalist in a standalone scenario, but in a live scenario, I don't tend to use it because any cymbals or anything is going to bring all those up. And part of the casing in the front is also a pop filter, so it's got a lot of additional functionality that's great as well. Yeah, so there you have it. Some of the reasons I use a Sennheiser MD441-U. Plus, they look pretty cool. Any questions or comments? Just leave a mark. Like, subscribe, all that YouTubey stuff. Hope to see you another time. Thanks.